Alrighty. Connor, we are live, my friend.
Yes, sir. Ah,
We are live. Yeah.
yeah.
Let's do this. Hey, everybody.
Perfect.
And thanks for taking time out of everybody's schedule to join me today. Can you hear me, Connor?
Me thinking of them. I think we should thank them as well. I'm here anyways because I have to be here.
Well, this is just between me and you. They can watch us. It's like a voyeurism thing. But
sounds weird when you say it like that.
Right.
But we haven't seen each other at conventions in way too long, so this is kind of like a little convention meetup. It's wonderful.
I think 2018.
It's been too long, and of course I have a horse in my throat now, so perfect timing. A horse? A horse in my throat? I think a frog is the proper term. Kind of weird.
Yeah, we're razzled. We were
I've unfortunately lost the video feed in Discord, but I'm just going to go audio here and hope that you're picking up what I'm laying down.
I can give that back to you and multitask. So
for
those that don't
everyone can look at the beautiful game.
Right, we're gonna give Connor the view of what we're seeing, and I have to kind of set that back up in a second. The background. So I'm multitasking here, which is not my expert level. But anyway, we're gonna do basically have you do a demo style little overview, and then we've staged a turn, and you can run me through it and kind of get an idea how the game plays.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, so basically,
this now. Are you seeing that now?
Oh, I see a video. Yeah, you're back.
All right.
No, I see.
Cool.
You're
now
pretty
you can see what we see, and it won't be totally awkward. All right. So
who went away? What did you click? Now I just see me again.
All right. Well, I'll fix that in the background, but in the meantime, why don't you tell people the premise of this game?
Sure. Yeah. So this is Earth. This is designed by Maxime Tardif, and he did a phenomenal job. It is a super fun engine building game that really just rewards players and gives players tons of resources and lots of positivity, with no ability to have your legs cut out from under you, which is super rare for inside-up games. We like a little take that in our games. Sometimes we like a lot of take that in our games. But this doesn't have that because, we just basically want to make everybody have the best experience they can and do the best they can with that without having the excuse of, someone else screwing up their strategy. This is all about how well you can play, being given all the options. So what you can see, hopefully, on Thomas's screen right now is that he has a player board. I can see his beautiful blue hand zooming around, and he has a tableau on the left. Just as a small note to anyone watching, this player board here where the tableau is, it's not needed for the game because players are actually just laying cards on the table beside their player board, and they can build out in any direction. So the imaginary limitations of this board do not exist in real life. But all that's to say, we will be playing cards, planting cards into our 4x4 tableau to create our own little island ecosystem, with the goal of attracting these wonderful flora and fauna up here on the main flora and fauna board. So in this game here, we have 4 different animals. We're trying to get some deer, some zebra, some moles, and some wildebeest. I should note that all of these cards are 2-sided, and there are a whole bunch in the game, so you will never, ever play the same game twice. In fact, one thing that Thomas did without even knowing why is back at his player board at the very start of the game, he randomly selected one side of his island, his climate, and his ecosystem card, and that will set up his engine at the start of the game. What I will mention, though, is with the number of islands, climates, and ecosystems, there are over 25,000 possible setups for your player board starting alone, never mind how you build your island. So you're never going to play the same game, which is super fun. Now, in the game, you'll be playing cards from your hand. As you can see, Thomas has a hand there, and he'll be paying soil, which is this resource down here, to plant those cards into his tableau. He can plant either plant cards, which are green, or terrain cards, which is brown. If he has any white cards in his hand, those are events, and those are played into a pile here. And those are actually instants that can be played at any time of the game on any player's turn, and usually they give you a little bit of a bonus. The more powerful that bonus, however, the more likely that they might contain some negative victory point values. So they can potentially hurt you for points, but help you during the game. Now, just to jump right in, I'm not going to go over explaining what the cards are, what they do, any of that stuff. I'm just going to go get into the gameplay as if we were at a convention and playing. So, Thomas, if you can see at the top of your player board, you basically have 4 different colored actions. In the game, you only have to choose one of those actions each time on your turn. It's that straightforward. But the reason I love the game and the genius to Maxim's design for the game right here is the ability to involve all players at all times. So we can see right here with this logo that there's an active player token, and above that you can see the all other players. So just for this purpose right here, we're going to pretend it is actually Thomas's turn, and he'd be able to pick any of these different actions that he wanted to do, which I'll explain in a moment. But what ends up happening is he would get the stuff at the bottom, the resources, and all other players would get either of the resources at the top. So in this case, Thomas would draw 4 cards from the deck and then plant 2 growth pieces. And the growth pieces are these lovely stackable shapes you can see here. So he gets all of that. Meanwhile, the rest of us could choose either taking 2 cards from the deck or getting 2 growth pieces. Now again, the part that involves everybody is after doing that, as you can see these little arrows on the side here, all players move to the middle, which means they're activating that color. So in this case, we would all activate our yellow and our multicolored cards. Now, it is important to note that the multicolored card is actually a yellow card, a blue card, and a red card. The multicolor is a way of kind of classifying them all. So just for fun, whatever, Thomas, without knowing at all what you're doing, pick one of those 4 action colors and move your little leaf token onto it, and that's going to be your turn.
So I'm going to get, do I get both when I take these? Like the bottom
Yeah,
and the top?
that's right. You get whatever's along. No, the top is what all other players get. The bottom is what
I get the bottom, which is a little stronger, right? So
exactly.
Can you run them over again? I'm
going
to try to get
you actually want to know what they are?
Yeah, 2 cards, right? Is it to my hand or what?
Yep, that's right. So plant 2 cards into your tableau, adjacent to a previously placed card.
That's what that is.
Into the tableau. Then you're going to draw 4 cards, keeping 1 and discarding the other 3.
Okay.
Or for the red action, you are going to be gaining 5 soil. Soil is the currency of the game. And then you're going to compost 2 cards from the deck. Now, compost is this pile down here. That is endgame victory points, but it's also an in-game resource you could spend to get you other things, which I'll show you in a moment, depending on your action choice. The blue action here is going to get you growth cubes, so 6 of the cubes here, which you would draw out and place onto your cards. Those are each a victory point at the end of the game, but they can actually be converted to soil, as you can see at the bottom of your player board right down there. And then lastly was the yellow action we talked about, and that's drawing cards and planting growth pieces. So we just randomly pre-populated your board just to kind of get you going. So yeah, pick any of those 4 colors that you like for now, and we'll play a fun fake turn.
So the cards that I'm playing, if I choose the green one, is that from this staged area here or from your hand?
No, from your hand. And you're going to pay the soil cost in the top left-hand corner. So right now we started you off with, looks like 12 soil. So as long as you don't spend more than 12 soil, you could do whatever you want. And actually, you know what? I gave you enough cubes that you could trade them into if you wanted.
Right. So looking at, can you see what's in my hand?
I cannot.
Lay them up? Okay. Maybe I'll lay them
up. It doesn't matter. Just have fun. Just pick whatever card you want.
Right. I just don't know what would I play them. What's the goal in the tableau? What am I trying to do?
And that's fair. So the whole reason of what you're trying to do again is this flora and fauna board up here in the middle.
Okay.
So these are the brown cards are the brown cards are the fauna, the different types of animals you're attracting to the island, and they have different objectives. So for example, the deer, they want you to have 6 or more plants, each with 3 or less spaces for the growth cubes. Those are those little cube spaces at the bottom of your card.
Over on purpose?
Over here, the Z. What's that?
They're white. The cards are white.
Oh, you can't see them?
No. But when you flip them, I can. That's why I was wondering. They're supposed to be double-sided. Like there's cougar. Might be a glitch here.
Must be a glitch on TTS right now.
So we can just
what do you see?
Just use what we have there. Now I got the water buffalo, the bison, the moles. If I flip this other one, we've got gorillas and mountain lion.
Okay, we'll use that side. That's fine. So in this case, the bison want 4 plant cards. Those are the green cards in your hand, each with 6 or more spaces for growth. For plant cubes. So in this case here, this card I just laid out, it has 5 growth cube, plant cube spaces, whereas this bison needs 6. Over here, the mountain lion, they want 8 cards with the rocky habitat. So we can see on my mountain ridge here at the very top, it has a mountain rocky habitat at the very top, whereas the strangle tear does not. It has no habitats. So this card would count towards my mountain lions. Down here at the gorillas, you need 4 plants. So again, the green cards are the plant cards, filled with as many of the growth pieces and plant cubes as possible. And having no does count as filled. So for example, this is already completely empty, so I'd have to get some growth pieces here and some plant cubes here. And then the moles is having 20 soil in your reserve. So that's just the soil that you're using for currency. Once you reached any of those objectives, you would take one of those leaf tokens from your player board and you place it at the highest available VP slot. The 2 green cards on the side, those are end game scoring objectives. These you would score at the end of the game depending on how many times you actually qualified for that. So if we look at the one on the top there, that is the Gorongoro Crater. It's going to score you 5 victory points per row if all 4 cards have a different ability color. Just as a reminder, the ability colors are these colors here at the bottom of your card. So that's a brown, that's a blue. And then the next green card is the Batana Island. That is going to give you 7 victory points for every 2 plants, each with a color in their name. And the colored names are in italics. You can kind of see which ones that might work. So actually I have one right here. Whereas the blueberry, the blue is the color. Oh, there's a misprint on that one. That's funny. That should not be italics. It should be underlined. Anyways, good. There's a misprint on the card. Perfect. Found it. Yeah, so that's the reason why you're doing what you're doing in your tableau. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be choosing one of those 4 actions and then taking the turn. So at this point, yeah, just choose any one of those 4 colored actions you want, Thomas, and then we'll play a simple hand or 2.
Yeah, if I can decide. Let's try to play some cards. I'll just go with the green.
Sure. So yes, at this point you can plant up to 2 cards in your tableau, kind of anywhere you want, provided you stay within a max size of 4x4. And to play them, just draw them out of your hand, drop them onto the grid, and pay their soil cost.
Right. If it's free, it's free, right?
Yeah, if it's 0, it's free. That's right.
Right.
I get.
So looking at the scoring, so these are the 4. I guess we're kind of racing to score these, right? The gorilla and the bison.
That's right. Exactly.
Are we putting more than one in our area, or is it just kind of like implied?
No, as soon as the first person get it, they would just take one of their little leaf tokens, they'd put it on there, and then they'd say that they were the first one to score that, so they get 15 points. If I did it later in the game, I'd drop one of my tokens on there, and I would score 11 points at the end of the game.
So you can only score each one once?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'm trying to set up habitats for them, right? Just looking at what I have. I'm going to put something down, and you can help me here.
Sure.
Mushrooms and Japanese Andromeda. Shrubland. Let's try the Japanese Andromeda is free. So now where would I put this and why? I think I just took a bunch of cards.
So in this case, let's see. Right now, I'm trying to look at different cards on the board. So remember, the green card up here is going to score you 5 victory points if all 4 cards have a different ability color. So you probably wouldn't want to place it next to this card because then you'd have 2 yellows in the same row. So I might put it up here in that row, or maybe in this row, or maybe in this row.
Right. Let's do that.
Sure. But yeah, I'll do that for now. You pay 0 dirt because it has a 0 cost. And you also have the arable land up here, which means that all of your herbs cost 2 less soil when you plant them. So if you have any cards with that herb symbol, like you can see up here, they're actually 2 dirt less for you to build, or to plant, I should say.
Oh, like the English lavender that's the herb symbol next to it?
Exactly.
Whereas this is a silver leaf, looks like a mushroom of sorts or something.
Mushroom, exactly. And then we have a bush down here. There's also trees. Those are the 4 main ones.
So I can play 2 cards, is what you're saying. So
that's right.
Let me look for a discount. I do have 2.
Now, do you have any green cards that have this rocky symbol on them in the habitat section? This symbol here.
Sorry, I'm just squinting. A rocky symbol. Why? What would I want that for?
Because if you do it, it's going to help you. Good. So plant one. It's going to get you on your way to the cougar. Nice.
So
exactly. Perfect.
Okay. So that was 2 less, so
So
it's
now
free.
watch, and you've already comboed. Well done.
Okay.
So that one's free as well because of your arable land over here. Very well done.
Right.
Now, what ended up happening is at the same time you were doing that, I did my side of the action. So you did the bottom part. I'm doing the top part. And for the top part, I simply planted 1 card into my tableau, paid its cost. And then I'm going to draw 1 card. You're going to draw 4 cards, keep 1, and discard the other 3. So you can mouse over the massive draw stack of unique cards in
taking
the
1
middle of the
card, and I'm
table.
not going to draw and look at them and make anybody suffer.
Sure, that's fine.
If you
Exactly.
want to do me a favor, send me 1 down my way. Where does the draw pile at? Way over there?
Oh, it's way up here.
I got 1. I took 1 in my hand.
Nice. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're all going to activate our green abilities. Now, I don't have any green abilities, I don't think. Oh, I do, but I didn't find a yellow card. Never mind, let's go back to your board. So the reason why I asked you to build one with the rocky habitat is your green ability of your island, of the Hawaii island, says that you get 2 green plant cubes every time you play a card that has a rocky ability on it. So you can actually now draw 2 of these cubes and place them on any of your cards that have these plant spaces on them.
So we're filling. What happens when we complete all the cubes on a card?
Those are all victory points at the end of the game, regardless of whether they're full or not. They're also in-game resources because you can convert them to soil. But then again, we actually also have. Do we keep it or do we get rid of it? No, we keep it. So we have the gorilla one asking you to fill up those cards. So if you can fill 4 cards, you get to claim that gorilla bonus as well.
Oh, okay. So that's a simple goal to go for.
Exactly. So now, just for fun, we're going to pretend you can stay on your board, but it would be my turn next. So we'd move the active player marker. I would take it back to my turn. And I'm going to trigger, let's just say, the red action for fun, because I want more soil. So as the active player, I would get 5, and then I get to compost 2 cards from the deck. And as all other players, you can choose from either of these 2 actions on your player board. You can either choose to get 2 more soil, which is the resource or the currency of the game, or 2 cards from the compost from the deck. So again, you could take cards from up here and place them into this compost pile. The compost pile is also victory points at the end of the game, and it's an in-game resource. So it's totally up to you which of those 2 top actions you want to do.
So it looks like a cloud, but that's compost, right?
That's soil, and that has changed.
Soil.
Apparently, that was the biggest issue on the Kickstarter, was the shape of the soil. So that has since been voted on and being changed.
Good idea. And the other option was take 2 cards?
That's right. So draw 2 cards from the pile, but you actually put them in your compost, not in your hand.
Okay, let's do that. As soon as I can get over here. I don't get to look at them or nothing, huh?
No, exactly. They don't. It doesn't matter what they are.
Okay. And what are these going to do in the compost pile again?
So they're going to make you a victory point for each card in that compost at the end of the game, but they're also going to trigger on different cards. So say, for example, if we look at your English Lavender up here, when the blue action is taken and you trigger this card, the bottom ability says, take 1 card out of your compost pile and turn it into 2 soil and 1 cube. So it's a way of kind of converting resources into more resources. So you'll see that the game gets very plentiful as it keeps churning out more resources for you for your engine.
Nice.
So again, I did the red action. So we've both taken the resource section of that. But afterwards, we're also going to activate any red or multicolored cards in our tableau and on our player board. Now, you do have one on your player board, the Arid Climate, but it says it only triggers if you chose the red action, and it was me. So you'd ignore that card. Now, coming over to your tableau, it is important to mention to players, or to viewers, I guess, that tableaus always have to be activated from left to right and from top to bottom. So you do have to kind of activate them in order. So the way you build your tableau is important, and it'll matter more to you, as you play your second game and you understand why you're doing what it is you're doing. But looking through your tableau, you do only have 1 red card, which is the Beavertail Cactus. So, as the Beavertail Cactus card says, you can get rid of 1 soil to compost 4 cards from your hand. What that does is you lose 1 soil, which is currency, but you're making 4 victory points. if you want to take those cards out of your hand. And it's a
Yep.
positive, and any positive in the game you can go up to. So, example, you would sell one or get rid of one soil, and you could compost 1, 2, 3, or 4 cards from your hand.
Oh, you don't have to do all 4, huh? So yeah,
You
let's do
don't. No,
that.
not if it's a
Take the soil
positive.
away from me, and I'll discard a couple at random here.
Perfect.
Boop.
Oh,
And
there we go.
too many cards. I'll keep these other ones.
You can get it. Yeah, you can get it. Perfect. You can get a ton of cards in the game. So now we've both done that. I'll go over to my board really quick just for fun. I can, look, it says I can gain a soil with my red action, so I'm going to do that. It also says I can compost 2 cards from my hand, so I'm going to do that really quick without looking at what I'm doing, which is never a good idea, but we're just doing a quick teach. And the bottom one here says I could send or get rid of growth pieces, but I don't have any because I didn't populate my board. So my turn would be over. I pass the active player marker back over to Thomas, and Thomas, you can choose any action color you want, including one you previously chose or one that I just chose. It's totally open.
So there's no restriction on that.
Correct.
So we're just, and then each turn. So the more players, you would get more secondary actions, obviously, right?
Exactly.
So with 2, is
But it
there any
doesn't
scaling or
actually
any
slow down the
changes?
game.
I was just
No,
wondering
which is
about
one
the
of the
player.
things that's wonderful about the game is that with more players, it barely adds anything to the playtime because everybody's always gaining stuff. So although there are more players, those more players are still giving you resources. So the gameplay is still nice and fast. You can usually play a game even up to 5 players in just over an hour.
Okay. And then for the scoring majorities or anything like that, does that change it off too?
Nope. That's purely for the number of players. There is a slight change. We're playing on the normal board. If you were to flip this board over, it's for beginners, and then the race mechanic's gone. All of these score 10 points each, so you're not racing for it anymore. And there's also no shared ecosystem, so it's a little less confusing for new players who might be overwhelmed by all the goals.
Gotcha. All right, so we're going for the advance would be trying to achieve these 4 in a race,
Exactly.
so to speak, right? And then these are end game for everybody.
Exactly.
So explain to me that one again, 5 leaf a row. If all 4 cards have different.
Yes, exactly.
Ability.
So you'd get 5
points,
and you can see this little white. That's right. Exactly. So the leaf is the victory point symbol in the game. So you get 5 victory points for each row in your tableau that have 4 cards with different ability colors.
Right.
So you've already got a blue,
3 of them
a yellow, and a brown. Exactly. So if you put a red or a black or something over here, right, then you get 5 victory points at the end of the game. So just for fun, pick another color that's not green or red. I guess maybe choose a blue, choose a yellow. Totally up to you.
What about the events?
Yeah, events you can play at any time. And if you have a white card in your hand, just take it out and throw it down into your events stack.
So I do. Where's that go? There's the event.
Right there.
And what do I get?
Perfect. That's actually a nice one. There's few positive point ones. The rainbow is going to give you 1 victory point, but it's also going to immediately give you 1 growth just for having a nice moist day. So choose one of these growth pieces, and it's going to go onto your growth space. Now you'll see we've already put some out, but the growth areas are here on the cards. And looking at them a little bit closer, depending which card you want to look at, let's say the silver leaf, sure. So the silver leaf has a maximum growth of 1. So only 1 piece could go on it, whereas the sensitive plant has a maximum growth of 3. At the end of the game, for each trunk, which is the brown, for each trunk piece on a card is worth 1 victory point. But if you get to the top, so in this case 3 or 1, you would instead score the maximum growth bonus, which is 2 or 3. So if I were you and I could put 1 card out on a silver leaf, that's going to make you 2 points, which is a better conversion than putting 1 over here on a sensitive plant, which is only worth 1 point at end game. So that's how that extra little growth worked that it gave you from your rainbow. So that helped you get a couple extra points, just like that.
Did it cost me anything? Because it's got
nope.
1 leaf.
No,
point for them.
That's right. It actually gave you a victory point, whereas a lot of other ones. So, for example, I have this one here in my hand, and it says lose a victory point, lose a growth, but get 2 cards. So that could be really helpful to kind of if I'm looking for certain cards in the game and I want to draw more into my hand. It could be a really nice card to play.
Why are there extra action tokens? I've been using 1.
Those are what we use to mark up here where the flora and fauna are. So as you're making these objective bonuses, you'll be dropping those leaves on there.
Cool. Trying to think if there's anything
Yeah.
else to ask here. So, do we want to fast forward a little and stage some cards played? There was a segment I didn't understand, I guess, where you're saying that you
Sure.
activate your tableau from left to right, top to bottom, whatever. What triggers that? Is that when we
Yeah, that'll happen
pick the actions?
every time. That's right. Whoops, you don't want the whole deck of cards.
Oh, it's based on the
That'll
action we
happen.
choose and then what color action that's triggering, right?
You've got it.
Okay, so yeah, so if I'm choosing red, it's going to trigger the red ones and the multicolor, which I don't see which ones are multicolor. Oh, there's a multicolor.
Right here, I just dropped them in there. Exactly.
And
so just for fun, now that I've pre-populated your board, pick one of those action colors that's not green. Pick the red or the blue or the yellow.
From the tableau?
No, sorry, pick it as like an action color.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so pick one that's not red, you said?
Yeah, because we just did red for fun, so let's show the viewer something else. Give them maybe a blue or... do the blue action. Why not?
Yeah, and just a little feedback as a colorblind player, I don't see that as blue. And that red is orange, so...
That's fair. Yeah, they all are colorblind checked through Adobe, and then we send them to our colorblind checkers as well, as we do for all of our games.
Hit me up if you want help. I'll be around.
Yeah, you're amazing. All right, so you did blue action. So
I did blue.
That means
I get 6.
You're gonna get
cubes.
Yep. And you can place them on any cards you want.
So okay, I didn't know if it was tied.
Now
to
remember that
actions or whatever. Yeah.
Nope. Now remember that gorilla though. It wants completed cards, and this already has a completed growth on it. So if I were you, I'd put 2 of those 6 cubes here.
Right. Yeah, and they don't have to be next.
You could put another.
Right?
Nope.
There's 2.
You could put 3 of them here. That'll complete that card.
1, 2, 3. I had 6, right? So I can put.
3 exactly.
Right.
And then mentally be big. All right, I've got 2 of the cards needed to get that gorilla bonus. Something that you'd be working for. You'd only need 2 more. So after you've done that, that was just your cubes. You still get 2 soil as well. So you would get 2 soil from the supply over here, and you simply drag those and drop them onto your player board.
We're keeping it down there, right?
Exactly.
5s, 10s.
Okay, let's pretend on my turn I took some cubes or some soil. And now after that, we're all going to activate our blue and our multicolored cards. So this is where it comes into play of that left to right, top to bottom. So let's go. You have no blue abilities on your player board. So let's go over to your tableau and run through all of these blue abilities you happen to have. So this one here is saying lose 1 card from your compost. So take it out and discard it. And then you would immediately gain 2 soil and 1 cube. So what we do is, if I'm not sure if you can see your player board right now, but we'd take one of these cards out of the comp. Whoop! Not all 6 of them. Right. 1 of them out of your compost. It would get discarded, and then you would immediately get 2 more soil. 1, 2, which is very nice, and you'd get 1 more cube. You could plant somewhere. Let's put it there just for fun. Now you'd move to the right, just left to right.
Resources. Yeah.
Exactly. Now here's another nice one: the Roman brown mushrooms. Right, so these are going to actually let you take 1 card out of your compost and turn it into 3 soil, which is pretty epic. So again, you'd come over here to your compost pile, you'd remove 1 of those cards, which I'll do for you, throw it up there for now, and you're going to get 3 more soil. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, going down the tableau over here, we have the red mangrove. Now, as you can see, this card actually has 2 ability colors. So it would get triggered either from red or blue actions. In this case, it's still making you spend that compost. It's going to say take 1 compost out and draw 1 new card. And again, it's up to you whether you want to trigger these or not. So let's pretend you didn't want cards for some strange reason. You would just skip over that action, continue down the tableau. This guy here says 3 cubes on any of the 8 adjacent plants. So if you put 3 cubes here on the Japanese and Dromuted, you would actually fill up that card with plant cubes as well. So you go, let me go over here and go 1, 2, 3. Oh, they're at an angle because my seat is at an angle. That's kind of silly. And then you'd move down here to the painted nettle. Because again, it's a multicolored card. It has that blue in it. and it's telling you lose 1 compost to gain 1 growth piece. Ooh, that's a good one. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 card out of your compost. Why is it grabbing all of them still? 1 card out of your compost. It turns it into a growth piece. And because you just filled up your Japanese and Andromeda a second ago, now this is another card that's completed for you, getting you towards those gorillas, which is awesome. We continue down our tableau, no blue, no blue, no blue, and here's another blue, giving you 1 more growth. So if we wanted 1, 2, 3, our very nice English lavender at the top there needs 1 more to complete its growth. So boom, let's put it on there. And this is only now 1 cube away from being completed as well. And if it was completed, you could claim the gorillas.
Oh, well. I'm looking at how the growth work. I kind of missed that. So there's a 3 and a 5. Like there's the 3. That's how many can be. What's the 5?
The 5 is if you complete it. So at the end of the game, if it was incomplete like this, you'd get 2 points, 1 for each growth piece. If you completed it, you get the growth point, the canopy bonus, which is that number 5. So instead of making 2 points, you actually make 5 points for completing the structure.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad.
So as you can see it, and
Tableau, right? I would assume they stay there.
No, there are maybe 3 cards in the game that let you do that. No, I don't. If my memory serves, there's 364 unique cards, but I'm pretty sure none of the events make you switch out cards in your tableau. There's only 3 types of plants that can be terrains that can be converted into other plants, if I remember right.
Okay, I think that's a pretty good overview. There's a lot of hand management. There's tableau building and some resource conversion. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly.
So, a random question for you. What do you think sets this apart from other engine builders?
So honestly, for me, my biggest draw to it personally, because time is just something I don't have, is that a lot of engine builders, for me personally, they spend too much time in the prep phase where you're placing 1 card, getting 1 thing, waiting 15 minutes for all the other players to play, getting 1 more thing, and it goes so slow. In that first hour, maybe, is spent kind of getting your engine going. But thanks to these variable cards and goals at the start of the game, you start that engine almost immediately, and the resource gains you get on your turn and off of turn means you're always having stuff, you always have things to do, and it drastically decreases the playtime, which just increases my enjoyment because I'm always engaged. People don't have time for their phones at the table. You're talking, you're laughing, you're all busy mumbling, grabbing stuff, exchanging stuff, and it's just a fun, positive game. One of the things I did mention to someone earlier, which I think why the game is kind of hitting off well right now as well, is on a whole, the world's had a kind of crappy last couple of years, and positive things are being more appreciated, like Ted Lasso, for example. And the one nice thing about Earth is that there aren't any of those take that cards. There are events, but the events affect the player themselves, not other players negatively. I mean, once you play really well, you can start playing events to help you steal some of these fauna objectives before other players. But there's not something so much that I'm going to play a card and it's going to destroy something that you've worked for. So I just kind of really enjoy that simple actions. You only got 4 actions to choose from. They're going to engage everybody all the time. And that engine is started immediately. So you're in it, you're playing. You can have a very fulfilling, rewarding game in an hour or less. And then be willing, okay, let's go again. Let's just play it again.
Yeah, it's optimization. And it's trying to play off whatever else is doing. And I like getting free stuff. I like positive engagement. I don't really love take that. It's just it kind of doesn't. It's like, especially when you're already building something and it takes it away. It's one thing when the interaction's taking a card I wanted. You know what I mean? It's like, but negative interaction seems to be kind of going away, and I think it's for the best because it seems you can have more enjoyment, when you can relax and play a game without having to worry about messing with your turn. So,
and again, at the bottom of the player board, there's a reminder of the 8 different ways we're going to score victory points at the end of the game. There's a lot of ways to make points. There's a lot of possibilities and a lot of strategic options you have in the game. And one of the things that makes it fun for every single time you play is because the animal and the ecosystems change, your goals change, how you can get to them changes. But the big thing being is you're going to make a ton of points every game. Even games you don't do well, you're probably going to be making over 100 points just from getting cards placed out and getting things given to you by the game as it's going. But it's really about maximizing how well you play with all that positivity. So it's lots of fun because people are engaged. They have all this good stuff, and it's not about, can I hurt Thomas at the most opportune time? It's about, okay, good stuff's happening to everybody. Can I be more efficient, more strategic, better with all this good than they can?
Are these ways that score here aside from the animal cards and the stuff in the middle, or is this including them?
The animal cards is literally one part.
Okay.
The green
One part of it.
ecosystem cards is another part, and all
Okay.
the other 6 are other ways. So there's a base victory point value, which we've talked about here on the cards.
All for the cards.
There are the event, exactly,
Yep.
and for your island and climate. Then there's the event cards, which can be a negative number the more powerful they get. You're going to score 1 point per composted card, which we have over here. So you've already made 3 points in your compost. You're going to score 1 point per plant cube, and you already have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 points there. You're going to score for your growth pieces. So again, that's those little trees that we build up. The brown pieces are worth 1. Once it's completed with the green, you score the canopy bonus. And then terrain cards. So you do actually happen to have 2 terrain cards that we randomly dropped into your player board. The putrefied land is going to score you 1 victory point per composted card. So it would make you another 3 points because of the composted
nice.
cards.
That combo's good, yeah.
And combos can get huge. You could easily see 20, 30, 40, 50 cards in someone's compost. It's insane.
Right.
And then down here we have the Badlands, and the Badlands are actually going to score 3 victory points per bush in the row. So we probably wouldn't have actually wanted to plant this tree down there. We would have wanted to plant one of our bushes. Like this guy here, for example.
Yeah.
Exactly. So those are the different ways of scoring the game. And then the first player to complete their 16-card tableau would place their last leaf token up here on the flora and fauna board, which would get them 7 bonus victory points.
It's 1 to 5 players?
1 to 5 players, yeah.
How's the
and
solo?
You can also play... Solo's good, so let me see if I can pull them out of the box. It's very good. There's an AI, that's right.
Okay.
And no, it's an AI, and she is really good, even on the easier difficulties. So these are... Nope, those are animal cards. Come on. Lots of stuff in this box, see? All the stuff we have. Okay, there's the solo player board, and you'll notice it actually has colored options on the bottom. Oh, I opened up a chat window, apparently. A bottom and the top. So if you're playing for an easy or medium game, you would use the actions at the top, and then the Gaia's cards herself would trigger differently. And if you're using the bottom, that would be for a hard or extreme game. And let me pull Gaia's. That's the other side of the fauna board. That's the team board, because you can play 2 versus 2 in teams. And then that is the Gaia's board herself, where she will be gathering her resources. It's going to be the last thing I take out, isn't it? There we go. And then there's the solo cards for Gaia that trigger. So they'll be the different cards that she's going to be using to do different things on her turn. And then she'll react to what you do on your turn. And she gains different things depending on how you do stuff. So for example, up here, she's gonna compost 2 cards from the deck, and then she's also gonna compost 1 card for every 2 dirt you take. So as your engine changes, so does her strategy in play.
Have you tried? I always ask this because for us with 2, sometimes we like using neutral players or AI from the solo modes. Does it work with 2? Have you tried it? Is it possible, you think?
Having two players against the AI?
Using 2 player against the AI, yeah.
Yes. So that is something Maxime designed. When we were going through the development process of the game and planning for the Kickstarter, I didn't believe it was at the place where I wanted to present it as the publisher. So it's not to say it won't go away, but for what was happening and for the possible confusion it could bring to the game, I thought best to wait until it was refined to a better place.
I'd love to try that. That sounds always interesting to add.
And believe me, a lot of solo gamers ask it because they want more of a challenge. And my response is play the game once, and you'll see just how challenging it is. I have never won on the extreme setting. I think Maxim, he's played dozens and dozens and dozens, and I think he's maybe won twice. It's very hard. I usually play on medium, and it's still hard. It's still a very tight game.
The art's really good. What is the tokens going to look like? Somebody had asked me in the chat.
Oh, those sneaky! They're trying to get their reveals. See, the backers are trying to sneak this information out somehow. But we're not doing stretch goals on the campaign. We're doing reveals. So I'm explaining and
hang on.
showing the different. You got to hang on, watching that campaign, watch for updates. I do little reveals throughout the campaign to keep people excited.
Right, and you're at over 300,000 Canadian with 11 days to go. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some
Yeah,
more reveals.
we just passed 400 overnight last night,
Oh, wow.
400,000 Canadian. Crazy. And I think we currently have 10 language offerings on the Kickstarter, and I think I'm going to have 3 more after the Kickstarter. So it's busy. It's being well loved. This TTS mod has helped a ton. Over here, Coded Cardboard. Anyone who's looking for help, with their TTS mods, he did an amazing job. Super happy with all the work he put into it. All the scripting and everything he's done. But it's brought in a lot of attention, a lot of eyes, and a lot of love, because everybody plays their first game and they're kind of like, oh, and halfway through they get it, so they want to play a second game. And after the second game, they're hooked, and people just keep playing it over and over and over. It's wonderful.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, like I said, and for including me in this.
No,
And hopefully we're able to showcase the
of
game to
course.
help people make a decision.
Yeah.
If they want to see more, Paul Grogan, I think, did a long how to play, right? He did how to play too.
That's right. Paul Grogan did one. Quackalope did one. Man vs. Meeple did one. La Société des Jeux did one in French. So we have tons of videos on the campaign page. We're also active in our Discord and in the comments on the Kickstarter. So hop in there, let us know.
TTS
Reach out to Thomas. He's a
people to play?
sweetheart. Yep, free to play for everyone.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I also want to thank everybody for tuning in. And if you like this, please hit all those, thumbs for everything, and the likes and subscribes and the donates and all that good jazz. So with that being said,
Love it.
I'm done.